welcome to the Seatrade Maritime podcast. I'm Emma Howell, the Content Director at Seatrade Maritime News. Today's episode was recorded at CMA Shipping in Connecticut, Stamford in March 26. Good afternoon and welcome to CMA Shipping. My name is Emma Howell and I'm the Content Director at Seatrade Maritime News. Today I have the absolute pleasure of sitting with a very interesting lady who is going to talk to us about Women Offshore.
My name is Liz Schmidt, and I'm the Executive Director of Women Offshore, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to advocacy and policy for women in maritime.
Wow, so how long have you been around?
So Women Offshore started in 2017. We started as a podcast, actually, and a blog, and a way for mariners, female mariners particularly, to be able to connect with each other when they're offshore. Many people know that we have such a small representation of women in the maritime industry. Only 2% of seafarers are women, and so women often find themselves, when they are at sea, the only one aboard the vessel that they are working on. And so the organization started as a way to be able to connect women, to be able to share about career, about personal and professional development. And we have since, in about 10 years, have grown into a full nonprofit organization supporting many facets in maritime and supporting many individuals across the globe.
When we originally started talking some weeks ago, you told me an interesting backstory. Well, it was a horrifying backstory to how this all started.
Yeah, so one of the ways that Women Offshore gained most of its notoriety here in the U.S. was because of a terrible incident called the Midshipman X scandal. Midshipman X was a young woman who was at sea. She was doing a training cruise as part of the Maritime Academy, and while she was aboard her vessel, she was raped by her superior, and she was told, when she reported it, she was told to keep it quiet and stay aboard her vessel and continue to do her job. And she did so. She was on board for about 50 days, terrified. She had confided into a couple other individuals aboard the vessel what had happened, who were essentially there for support. But when she got back shoreside, she knew that this wasn't right. And so the way for her to be able to get it out in the public was through a blog. So she posted an anonymous blog detailing what had happened to her aboard her vessel. Of course, this did gain lots of interest from lots of different parties. And it was determined that not only did the vessel operators need to do something about it, but the U.S. government needed to do something about it and pass legislation to support individuals at sea so that there was policy in place for incidences like this to occur, for what needed to happen. And so Women Offshore, we were brought into that conversation at a pretty high profile level and assisted in the passing of the Safer Seas Act. So the Safer Seas Act was passed in 2022. And that piece of legislation ensured the stand-up of the U.S. Coast Guard Investigative Service, which is a portion of the Coast Guard that investigates all instances of violence and sexual harassment, sexual assault, and bullying aboard U.S. vessels or vessels in U.S. waters.
And I mean, that wasn't an isolated incident, but has that condition at sea improved since that point?
Right. So really what was discovered through the Midshipman X case was the fact that this is not an isolated incident. Yeah. It is not a U.S.-based problem. It is a global issue that mariners across the world do face. What we are finding is that through some recent data that was actually published by ISWAN, which is an international organization for mariner support, was that it's getting a little bit better. Over the past few years, there's been more awareness brought to this. There's been more action against individuals who conduct these acts towards individuals at sea, especially towards women. And that's been showcased and things have been done. And so I think we are starting to see it turn a little bit. But there's still a lot of incidences that don't go reported. For lots of reasons, individuals, especially women, are concerned or afraid to report incidences that are happening to them. So even minor or what could seem more minor incidences such as bullying or even sexual harassment don't get reported, and then those can sometimes elevate to those violence and sexual assault issues. And so we're seeing it's better. We're seeing it's starting to get stopped sooner than maybe it would have elevated to.
If you're enjoying the Seatrade Maritime podcast, make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing on the app of your choice.
So whilst that is a fundamental and incredibly important part of what Women Offshore has done and managed to achieve, can you talk about some of the other objectives and what perhaps 26 looks like?
Yeah, so some of the other things that we've worked on is on the career development side. So we have an entire career development department that works to support women at all stages of their career. So an individual who is looking to enter into the maritime industry, whether they're looking to go through the Maritime Academy route or whether they're looking to enter through with their Merchant Mariner credential, we can help support them in what that journey looks like. We can help them with some career counseling and career coaching to be able to guide them to, is this a great choice for you? Is this a career that you would really thrive in, or what part of the maritime industry would work? We're also working, especially a lot here in 2026, on resources and tools for those who are looking to transition mid-career. So we find that there are individuals who are either mid-career, not in maritime, who would be a great fit to become into our industry, or individuals who maybe work offshore and women they're looking to come shoreside, but don't really know or haven't really been told how their skills offshore, maybe as a chief officer or working on deck, how those skills as an engineer maybe will translate working into a shoreside role. And so we're working to help create some resources available so that women know and we can help them navigate to not leave the industry. So we find that people sometimes will just leave the industry altogether because there's no resources for them to transition smoothly.
That's part of the career progress, but what about getting women into shipping in the first place?
Yeah.
That still is a fundamental problem, not
Yes.
just the retention.
Yes.
How does Women Offshore support that?
So we support that through working with companies to help in recruiting efforts. So whether that's through our social media channels, whether that's through our podcast, whether that's through recruitment efforts across the country in the U.S. We also have a ambassador network. So we have ambassadors across the globe who are with Women Offshore who help as well attending different recruitment events. And so the idea is that we're educating, especially young women, about what it's like to be a mariner or what it's like to work in the industry. That there's great high-paying jobs, that you don't necessarily have to have a 4-year college degree to be able to do this work. You can, get your credentialing and get offshore and be making 6+ figures as a young woman, and how that career and that start of that career can really set you up for a great life and a great career.
And of course, when people think about the shipping industry, traditionally they think it's maybe something that's a bit dull, maybe a bit slow moving, but of course now that the entire chain is changing,
Yeah.
and you've got the advent of AI, you've got the advent of cybersecurity, you've got so many different facets, that opportunity has increased.
Yep.
So how do you keep up with that change?
Yeah, well, I think now more than ever, young adults are more in tune to the needs of shipping because of something like Amazon,
Yeah.
right? And so even my generation, as a millennial, we were coming into that. So packages weren't coming to my house every day from Amazon. That was an entire shipping logistic supply chain. Young adults understand that, and they know that shipping is something that is so imperative to make our world go round, and that it's so imperative to global commerce. And I think it's more instilled into them. And so I think talking to especially young adults or young teenagers about how you can be a part of this super important global industry by working in shipping, whether you're looking for shoreside or offshore work, you can be a part of this, and that there's lots of really great opportunities with AI and lots of things that in this industry are being invented, every single day. And as a young individual, as a young professional in this industry, you have an opportunity to be at the forefront of some of that. There are jobs that are probably not even invented yet for some of these high school graduates who are looking to enter into the maritime fields, that by the time they're young professionals or mid-career, they might be stepping into jobs we don't even know that exist because of technology and AI and autonomous vessels and all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, it can be an incredibly exciting career. So that's great that Women Offshore is doing something to support that. Let's go back to how many members you have, and I know that when we talked previously, you want to see Women Offshore expand into other geographies as well.
Definitely.
Talk us through some of that as well.
Yeah, so we have a community of about 2,200 individuals that are connected with Women Offshore. We are not a membership-based organization, so we do not require a yearly membership to be a part of our organization. But we do hope that we have individuals that give back to us. So we have about 2,200 that we work with and have worked with in different facets, whether it's providing scholarships or sponsorships, career advice, career coaching, career counseling, all of those things in our community. And we're always looking to expand and grow our base throughout the world.
What geographies would you like to be seen within the next 5 years?
Yeah, so definitely looking at, of course, Europe is a spot that is booming in certain parts of Europe with the maritime industries, and Turkey, that's an area, with the shipbuilding and things like that are coming out of there. Even Italy, Italy is really, really bolstered up their shipbuilding in the past few years. So those would be some targeted spots for us, as well as in Australia and New Zealand region. So we have a few ambassadors in those parts of the country, but such a great maritime hub and an area to reach. And then in Asia, Singapore being a big shipping hub, being able to have more connections or contacts with individuals in that area, I think would be really helpful as well.
I totally agree. What about the Middle East? Obviously, it's a little bit of a hotbed at the moment.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Have you members out there at the moment?
So we have very few members out there, but that would definitely be an area, especially with current events that are going on. It would be great to be connected out there so that we could be able to offer any of our assistance or support to seafarers in that region.
So when we think about organisations that are specifically looking after women in this part of the workforce, quite often we think about WISTA, Women in Shipping Trading Association. Yep. What differentiates you between yourselves and WISTA, and how do you work in collaboration as well?
Yeah, so important to work together, and that's something that as a leader at Women Offshore, as executive director, and some of the leaders and presidents at WISTA, some of the big conversation is, what's up with all these women's groups? And what I always like to tell people is we're all focusing and working together, but we all have our niches. So Women Offshore, we are focused on that career support space. So being able to really put our dollars there when a woman says, I would love to take my SCCW, but I can't afford that course. I can't afford to take that class right now. But that's that entry-level course to get you offshore. We can pay for that and support that. And so working directly with the individuals in that space, as well as working directly with them, whether it's through mentorship or the career development program with that career coaching. And so that's how we kind of differentiate ourselves, and as well as in the policy side of things. So we sometimes work a little bit more closely on the policy side at the individual, either state or region level here in the U.S. But we work with WISTA. I'm a member of WISTA. I love that organization. My maritime background is actually in the yachting industry, so coming in to some of the shipping and the commercial side can be a little foreign to me, but the women here in WISTA USA have been nothing but welcoming, and they're always a friendly face. Even at this conference here, I've run into some of my WISTA sisters, as we call each other, and so it's fantastic to be able to work with each other and lean on each other when we need support, or if I have somebody who is looking for careers. I know I can reach out to women in WISTA and say, hey, I have a fantastic individual. She's looking for a job shoreside. She lives in this part of the country or this part of the world. What do you got for her? And vice versa, right? And so that's, I think, really important, is it's building on that connection and that network that we all need to be able to grow.
I want to touch on the fact I'm sat here with two hats on. One is the editorial team, but also the fact that we're event organisers. We organise CMA Shipping where we're sat today. You will have seen going into the main stage, you'll see here throughout the duration of the event, there are not enough women on stage.
Yeah.
Now, that isn't always a lack of us trying to get women to participate. I've been told there's many different reasons why we're not getting that presence. Some of it is imposter syndrome. Some of it is fear that their male colleague could do it better. There are many different reasons. But I don't think we're overcoming that resistance as quickly as we could, because there's fantastic women like yourself who do want to be on stage. How do we reach you? How, as organizers, do we reach those women?
Yeah. So the IMO and WISTA have worked to develop a speakers bureau. And this is a website that you can upload your credentials, your experience, your expertise, where you live, the events you're planning to attend for the year. And the idea is to utilize that resource as a way to be able to look and see, I'm looking for a woman who's got expertise in XYZ in maritime. I can pull from that. So that's one thing, is really encouraging women to sign up for that. It is no cost to you. It is take yourself 45 minutes, make your profile, stick that up there. That's a way for individuals at events like these and at conferences to say that's somebody who's put their hand up and said that they'll be able to speak on these topics. And I think we really need to encourage each other a lot more and help pull each other on stage and give each other that opportunity and that spotlight. So we host a 2-day conference. We put as many women on stage as possible, as many women in different ages, demographics. We put students in the maritime academies, we put retirees, and all in between as a way to be able to showcase everybody across their careers. And so really being able to spotlight each other, promote each other, and having those opportunities available, I think is a great way to get more people on stage. But you're so right. I mean, we're still dealing with the imposter syndrome, or I'm not good enough, or what if I mess up? And of course, those fears are very valid, but we, as women, can kind of work to kind of push each other up a little bit more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think there's so much that can be brought to the table by having that diversity across panels as well.
Yeah.
You've talked a lot about mentorship.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the program and how, again, women can put themselves forward to be a mentor, and how somebody can apply to be matched with that mentor as well.
Yeah, so we have a mentorship program that we use that we open up a few times a year as a way to both gain mentors and mentees. I also like to say that people can be both a mentor and a mentee in the program. Lots of women across their careers, even young professionals, can mentor a student just entering into the industry. And so we encourage people to sign up for both becoming a mentor and a mentee. But there's a process you go through, you answer some questions. We use a service called Mentor Loop. And so this is a software service that helps to identify who would be good connections based on what the mentor and the mentee are both trying to get out of creating that relationship. Through that, then they're able to establish their kind of rhythm and their cadence for meeting. They can do, it's all digital, all virtual, so we can have somebody all over the globe meet with somebody from all over the globe, which is really a great way to connect people, especially when you're looking at some of those really niche maritime careers.
Yeah.
We can connect people in those spaces. And so we can do that. We run it for about 6 months. We do a check-in. How's it going? How are you meeting? Are the mentors, mentees meeting? And then sometimes we will reconnect people, or we'll say, you guys are doing great, keep going, and continue on that path. We also do groups. And so we have had LGBTQIA groups have connected. We've had trans women who have formed a group through our mentorship program, who have a fantastic mentorship circle together. And so we've also been able to do that as well. Students, so we've had students from different academies form groups where we've got one mentor who mentors over like a group of deck cadets or a group of engineering cadets who are all kind of in that same age in their career or just new to their career. And so what we're finding is that the mentorship program brings so much to be able to help with that imposter syndrome, help you realize that you're not alone out there, help you realize like this accomplished person, or who I look at as an accomplished person, also went through some struggles or didn't always have the answers. Yeah. And so having that mentor really helps you as an individual realize like, oh yeah, I'm not dumb. It's, someone else can help me and then pass it along in the end.
Is there any areas of the industry at the moment which you particularly need mentors for?
Yeah, so the biggest one, the gaps that I have had conversations with my community on is that career transition. So women are looking to do exactly what I just talked about at the top of the pod, which was they're offshore, they're killing it offshore, but they're ready to transition onto a shore side or part shore side, part offshore. How to do that, how to match their skills, what companies to look for, all of that kind of stuff. And so if there are women who have done that successfully, or have even done it. You don't even have to consider yourself a success. But if you've done that, we're really looking for some mentors who can do that. So who are about, mid towards the end of their career, who have made that transition and are looking to help support other women in that transition as well.
Is another area women who have returned from maternity leave and want to get back into
Yep. So I would kind of put that into a little bit of that kind of grouping a little bit. Either women who have returned from maternity leave, are ready to go back offshore. How do I handle all of this? How do I have it all, right? That we're always told. And other women who have done that successfully. And so that's absolutely an area that we would be looking for some good mentors too.
I mean, it would be remiss of me if I didn't touch on the fact that obviously, from a geopolitical point of view at the moment, it's a frightening place to be as a seafarer.
Yeah.
What are you doing to support women during this period?
So it's really about making sure that the seafarer is in the front of the conversation, and that we are able to respond and support not only women, but all seafarers who have been put in this situation that they didn't ask for, that they were not a part of, and then find themselves smack dab in the middle of it. And so making sure that we are speaking up for them in rooms that they're not in, making sure that they are at the forefront of conversation, that they're at the forefront of our conversations about what they're going through, and then supporting their needs as they arise. Because I'm sure as we continue through what's going on, more needs and more issues with the seafarers are going to come to light, and we will be one of those organizations that will support them.
And do you think putting messaging through social streams such as LinkedIn, Facebook are reaching those seafarers, or equally are they reaching government officials?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both. I think, making sure that the messages are reaching the seafarers and their families, so that everybody knows that there is a support system, there is people backing them, there is companies that are there that are backing them, but also, having that voice so that it does reach the governments and government officials and individuals that have the ear of government officials, so that it's like, hey, this is something that, we need to be looking at. All of these companies or all of these nonprofits, or these companies and nonprofits, are really talking about this as an issue. We need to make sure that we've got messaging and that we respond to this. And I think keeping it at the forefront of not only what we're talking about, but pressuring the media where and when we can, I think is also a great way to make sure that those seafarers are talked about and supported in the end.
What else can you tell us about Women Offshore that we haven't already touched on?
A couple things. You can follow us on our social media at Women Offshore. You can listen to our podcast, the Women Offshore podcast, released every other Tuesday. If anyone is out there and would like to be on our podcast, we are always looking for fantastic individuals to interview about either their work, their career, or any particular issue in the maritime space. So please reach out to us. And we have, I mentioned our conference. We have a 2-day conference. It's in Houston. It will be October 1st and 2nd. More information on our website about that. So lots of really great ways to get involved as a mentor and a mentee. If you are looking for career support, career guidance, things like that, you can reach out to us as well on our website. You can see information we have, and then connect with our Director of Career Services, Christine McMillan, who does a fantastic job. She's a former seafarer, a mom, a woman who has done that transition, and helps countless women and countless seafarers with their career support and career advice. So if you are looking for that, you can reach out to her as well, and we can help support you.
Amazing. I have had an absolute ball talking to you today. For everybody in the audience, I'd like to thank Liz Schmidt for talking to us today from Women Offshore. My name is Emma Howell. I'm the Content Director at Seatrade Maritime News, and we've been in conversation today from CMA Shipping. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Seatrade Maritime podcast, and we look forward to joining you on our next episode.